All right, welcome to the show, y'all. Hope everybody out there is having a great day. It is election day, y'all. It is election day. If you're in Michigan, go out and vote for Abdul. There's actually a number of left-wing candidates that are running, and support all of them. Go vote for all of them. And I believe next week is Wisconsin, which means Francesca Hong. On the 11th, I think it's the 11th is Wisconsin, but. Exciting day, man. Big day, man. And, we'll see what happens, but I got a little bit of nice, expensive champagne that I bought. I got a nice-ass cigar, a nice, expensive cigar that I bought. And it might be one of those times tonight, y'all. I'll be watching as closely as I can, and I'll probably do a video or two. I guess we'll see. But a lot of stuff to get to today. So in a little bit, Kamala Harris has broken her silence and finally snaps at Trump and his destruction of the country. Got a lot to show there and a lot to say about that. We also have the Epstein Bestie, Alan Dershowitz, is absolutely mauled and shredded by Iran's Professor Marandi. This is a video that if you haven't seen yet, you are missing out, bro. This is an incredible video, and you guys are going to love it. We'll also get to MAGA's attempted smears of Talarico continue to backfire spectacularly. They are only making him stronger, and it's happening over and over again. And then also, Bill Maher finally has his Dave Rubin "Why I Left the Left" moment, and he is now saying he would vote for Sarah Palin over DSA, and he's smearing every left-wing candidate in the country as if they're a communist, feeding right into the Red Scare McCarthyite bullshit. So you want to talk about a massive fall from grace. This is a guy who was supporting Bernie Sanders in 2016, and now he's against every single Bernie Sanders candidate in 2026. So what a gross, wretched little creature he is. So we'll talk about that as well. You guys know the deal, man. Everybody do me a big favor. Subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon. That helps out big time and costs you nothing at all. You could also support the show on Patreon. Thank you to everybody who does that, man, because without you, the show would be impossible. This is real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser. I've never done an ad read. I've never talked to or taken money from, a government or a PAC or anything like that, billionaires. So thank you again from the bottom of my heart. If you'd like to support the show, you can give $1 a month or $2 a month. The link is below for the Patreon. You could also sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. Got a lot of great stuff coming up over there, so sign up below for that. And, of course, go sub to Corin's World. We do live Kyle and Corin episodes every Monday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in. So big news dropped the other day. Take a look at this. Capital One cites anti-money laundering concerns in Trump Organization case. Capital One says Trump Organization account closures in 2021 followed review by anti-money laundering team. So let me pause to point out, at the time when this happened, I believe the way, the people around Trump tried to spin it is to pretend like this was tied to January 6th, right? That he tried to do a coup, which is what it was. It was an attempted insurrection, and that's why not only was he kicked off a bunch of social media platforms, but also they had some bank accounts frozen. Well, it turns out it actually had nothing to do with that. The bank accounts were frozen because of a routine check, which led to a bunch of red flags around potential money laundering. So here's what they say. Capital One Financial has hit back against a U.S. lawsuit over its decision to close more than 300 of the Trump Organization's bank accounts in 2021, stating that it did so after review by its anti-money laundering team. The disclosure filed on Friday marks the first time a bank has formally tied money laundering concerns to United States President Donald Trump's family business, according to Reuters. Capital One is seeking to dismiss the case by casting doubt on claims of illegal debanking or denial of service on religious or political grounds against the Trump Organization. So see, that's what I'm talking about there. They said, you're denying a service on political grounds, which would be illegal. Nobody should be debanked because of their political affiliation one way or the other. If we're okay with that, then they're obviously eventually going to come after left-wing people because they all say we're extreme, even though we're not. We represent the silent majority. But they tried to pretend like it was over January 6th and their politics, when in reality it had nothing to do with that. It had to do with potential financial crime. Times. They say the Trump Organization and Capital One did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Capital One has never accused the Trump Organization of illegal money laundering, but Friday's filing argues that documents and plaintiffs' own allegations make clear that Capital One closed plaintiffs' accounts for anti-money laundering reasons. The closures were the result of months of analysis and a careful review by Capital One's anti-money laundering team in accordance with bank policies and regulatory guidance. Capital One gave notice in March 2021 of its plans to close more than 300 Trump-affiliated bank accounts. The Trump Organization and Eric Trump, the president's son, filed a lawsuit in March 2025 in a U.S. federal court in Florida, alleging the accounts were closed due to political reasons and Capital One's desire to benefit from the political mood after the January 6, 2021 riot. Told you, by Trump supporters at the U.S. Capitol. Now, let me pause to point out, could you imagine a world in which any Democratic president, this happened to any Democratic president? Sorry, we froze 300 of your business's bank accounts because of money laundering. We would literally never hear the end of it. Fox News would run segments 24/7 for about 3 months straight, getting into every nook and cranny and detail, saying that we're dealing with an absolute criminal here, saying that we're dealing with a psychopath, saying that we're dealing with a gangster. They would throw everything but the kitchen sink at the Democratic candidate or Democratic president, and they would make their life a living hell over this. Stop and think about it for real. Because we're so used to Trump's criminality that this story, you're going to hear it here, maybe a handful of other places, but you're not going to hear it all over the place. It's certainly not going to be, all throughout mainstream media. And you have to stop and ask why that is. And the answer is his criminality is so over the top and so extreme that people literally cannot keep up. They cannot keep up. So they say the court has tossed out 2 complaints in the Capital One case, but gave the plaintiffs opportunities each time to submit an amended complaint. Capital One said the latest version, filed in July, suffers from the same fundamental flaws as the prior 2 pleadings. Capital One said in Friday's filing that the case should be permanently dismissed and that the Trump Organization's allegations of political pretext were misguided. The company went on to claim that the Trump Organization's assertions of political discrimination were based on cherry-picked quotations unsupported by the full context of documents submitted to the court. The transaction patterns identified by Capital One are among types of activity flagged by federal banking guidance. The company also encountered the Trump Organization's assertions that it should have been allowed to explain any suspicious activity. If any inquiry about the transactions or explanation of the account termination would reveal information subject to federal confidentiality obligations, federal law prohibits such disclosure. Since the start of Trump's second term, his administration has put pressure on some large banks, echoing conservative complaints that the institutions are deliberately targeting the political right. By the way, this is yet another reason. Add it to the list of reasons why Republicans are in favor of mass deregulation. They're not. It's so funny because they act like they're so pro-law enforcement and so pro-law and order. But when it comes to Wall Street and financial institutions and the military-industrial complex, all of a sudden, they're in favor of no police. They're in favor of no enforcement. And the reason why is because they are the thugs, they are the gangsters, they are the ones committing financial crimes, and they want to get away with it. And if they support regulation on their asses, then there's no way they're going to get away with it. And so, yet again, another reason why the right is obsessed with deregulation, because they want to get away with their fucking financial crimes that they do all the time. Now, while we're talking about money laundering allegations against the president of the United States, I need you to remember, the person who taught Trump everything he knows is a guy by the name of Roy Cohn, who was a literal mob lawyer. And this guy was the gangster's gangster. Okay, and he taught Trump a lot of what he does, like, for example, never play defense, always go on the offense. When you're accused of something, change the topic and go on the offense and make the other side have to play defense. Like, everything about Trump is shaped by this gangster named Roy Cohn. And when it comes to money laundering claims against Trump, all you have to do is go type in, as I did to Google, money laundering, Trump money laundering Russian, and the results that you get are astonishing. So there is a laundry list of allegations that go back to the fucking 1980s when it comes to Trump and money laundering. Look at this. So Trump tower condo sales in 1984, reports allege a convicted figure tied to the Russian mafia bought multiple units with cash, which investigators later scrutinized as a clean way to wash funds. So you had alleged Russian mob figures paying Trump in cash at the Trump Tower to wash their money. How about this one? Trump media loans, 2021 and 2022. Federal prosecutors examined emergency loans sent to Trump Media and Technology Group originating from entities with connections to Russian-American figures. Global real estate deals. Foreign buyers and shell companies utilized Trump-branded projects in places like Panama to purchase properties which watchdogs argue lack strict enough reviews. So Trump had these properties in places like Panama, and the allegation is those places were being used to launder mob money. More real estate and investigations. Anonymous buyers. High-end units in Trump properties were frequently bought through anonymous shell companies, which anti-money laundering experts view as a vulnerability for concealing dirty money. Now, by the way, I would submit to you, it is not just the Russian mob. This man is probably connected to all sorts of mafias around the world, and that's one of the many reasons why he's the criminal president. This is why he acts like he does. This is why he has a pay-for-pardon scheme, for example. This is why you look at him and you go, holy shit, he's running a mobocracy. This is not a democracy anymore. It's an oligarchy, it's a kakistocracy, it's fascism, and it's a mobocracy. He's the chief mob boss in the world, and like I said, he got taught everything he knows from a literal mob gangster, and it's all showing. Okay, bank scrutiny. Major financial institutions like Deutsche Bank historically reviewed certain transactions tied to Trump's network, though direct proof of illicit intent or systemic wrongdoing in these specific loans was heavily debated or unproven. And then, of course, they've denied it every single step of the way. But this is one of those moments where, like, I don't know, dog. I don't know what to tell you. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And when you think of all the ways in which Trump has been uniquely corrupt in this second term, and then stop and think, does he really have the moral core to turn around in the 1980s and 1990s? At the same time, by the way, he was gallivanting around with Jeffrey Epstein, the world's most notorious pedophile, and being accused by people like Katie Johnson. Was that guy really going to say, oh no, I am not going to engage in these black market activities. I would never do such a thing. I'm an upstanding citizen. Fucking of course not. And this guy was a failure in everything he touched business-wise. So, when he eventually got The Apprentice, that's how he actually made money, right? Because he had gone bankrupt 6 different times for 6 businesses of his. And then the other thing that was keeping him afloat, allegedly, was money laundering, was mob connections. Now, by the way, look at this. This just came out. Todd Blanche's new order rescinds the May 18th anti-weaponization fund, but quietly leaves the May 19th IRS immunity settlement intact. Instead of rescinding it, the accompanying memo reaffirms the DOJ's interpretation, arguing the immunity applies only retroactively and only to the parties involved. So it appears Trump was willing to throw the January 6 defendants under the bus while preserving his own IRS's immunity deal. Read the fine print. So in other words, Trump, as you all know, was trying to pay the January 6 insurrectionists and terrorists to the tune of $1.776 billion to rub salt in the wound for everybody, trying to pretend like these guys are heroes when they're literal terrorists and insurrectionists. He's also going to try to pay his cronies. It was all a scheme where, like, he sued his own government. And then his government went, oh no, we won't pay you that much, but I guess we'll pay you $1.776 billion, right? And then as part of this deal, remember, he made it so him and his family can never get audited. Him and his family basically have a green light to commit whatever tax crimes they want from now until the end of time. Well, he quietly dropped the part to pay off the January 6th insurrectionists. By the way, he didn't really. He's going to try to bring it back in a different way that gives him less scrutiny and less transparency. So that's bullshit. But he theoretically did that. But at the same time, he's still making it so that he can never get audited by the IRS. Still giving him and his family a green light to commit whatever fucking tax crimes they want to commit. Insanity. And this is happening right in front of everybody's face. I told you, when they turned around and said, oh yeah, no, we're throwing this out because it's so criminal. I told you, he's definitely going to resurrect it. He's definitely going to find a way to do this in a way where there's less scrutiny, where he feels like he can get away with it. But this was just a little too obvious a scheme that for whatever reason, this particular corruption scheme took off in a way that others didn't as much, right? Like, for example, when he robbed 10 billion US taxpayer dollars for his Board of Peace, which is just a bullshit scam where he's controlling a fund of $10 billion as a slush fund. But I also have this for you. So Ben Norton says, the level of blatant corruption is breathtaking. Trump has officially launched a service offering Wall Street firms early access to his social media posts on his website for a fee of $100,000 per month. In the press release for the service it calls Truth API, Trump Media and Technology Group boasted of providing financial firms with market-moving truths. The White House is literally charging rich investors more than $1 million per year so they can get even richer through government-sponsored insider trading. The fish rots from the head down. Ben Norton is 100% right when he says here, government-sponsored insider trading. That's exactly what this is. And you can see the headline here from Investopedia. Trump's Truth Social offers deep-pocketed traders exclusive early access to market-moving posts. It is just, I mean, again, it literally is the type of corruption that you have to do a double take because you say, look, there's got to be something like, I'm misreading this, right? Something's got to be wrong with my interpretation of this, because if this is what it appears to be, this is like a don't pass go, get your ass straight in motherfucking prison. This is like, holy shit, you have previous corrupt presidents are rolling over in their graves right now looking at what this president is getting away with. Because it's insult to injury, it's rubbing salt in the wound, because it's also like, I don't care enough to try to hide it anymore, right? In the same way they did millions of dollars in insider trading when it came to the Iran war, actually billions. Iran says Trump and his cronies made $9 billion off insider trading around the war. They did insider trading around the trade war and the tariffs, right? You had the fucking crypto shit coins, the meme coins that Trump robbed his own supporters, and Melania also robbed the MAGA supporters. You have Trump pardoning a guy who laundered money for Al-Qaeda because that guy bought his World Liberty tokens for his shitty World Liberty financial site. Okay, you also have Eric and Don Jr. creating a Bitcoin mining operation and a literal pay-to-play corruption club called the Executive Branch Club, where you pay $500,000 to get special perks. You have the Trump projects in Dubai, the golf course in Qatar, the $400 million plane from Qatar. You have Trump shitty kids being part of a company called Vulcan Earth or Vulcan Elements, and they just robbed the U.S. government $620 million taxpayer dollars in order to give it to Don Jr. so he can profit off that shit, okay, from the Office of Strategic Capital. That's where they took the money from. You have, do I need to continue? $2 billion to Jared Kushner from Saudi Arabia, and obviously he's doing favors for them, like leaking them classified information. You have Trump making $3.4 billion off the presidency, $1.8 billion this term alone. They are spitting in our face at this point. That's what they're doing. And what else would you expect from a family and from a man that did tax fraud and insurance fraud and business fraud, and he was found civilly liable for that? What would you expect from a guy who stiffed his workers for his hotels and his casinos? God forbid you were a plumber or an electrician that worked on a Trump property. He tried to stiff your ass. And there's so many that have come out and said that. And they were warning people about this in motherfucking 2015, 2016. His university was a fraud. His charity was a fraud. The Trump family cannot operate a charity in New York State. Why? Because they literally stole from a children's cancer charity. And this guy was made president of the United States twice. Like, you have got to be kidding me. And this is what we're dealing with, bro. This is what we're dealing with. So, the criminality is just completely and utterly out of control. And that's to say nothing of the war crimes. That's a whole nother type of criminality. Genocidal criminality. That, absolutely shocks the conscience. And then finally, remember how we talked the other week about how Trump greenlit the increased use of glyphosate. Now, glyphosate should just be banned. In many places it is banned. In many European places it's banned, for example, because there's evidence to indicate glyphosate causes cancer, right? It's a pesticide that causes cancer, or an herbicide, I don't know which one, but it causes cancer, right? And RFK Jr. in the past, he fucking crusaded against this thing. It's one of the rare issues where RFK Jr. was actually correct, okay? But Trump comes along, and he says, no, fuck it. We're going to keep it legal, but also increase the usage of it, which is putting all of our lives at risk because we all eat from the same food system here. Now it's going to be doused with cancer-causing shit, right? Well, guess what? You want to talk about criminality? So Trump, in the White House, casually just shouts out the company that makes fucking glyphosate. Look at this. We've seen him do this before with Dell Computers, with Micron, with other companies. He's doing it because he just bought a bunch of stock in the company, wants the stock to increase. This will make the stock increase. So he's going to profit millions of dollars from doing this, from pushing this cancer-causing horse shit. Listen to this.
It's about 700 acres of parks. We're all going to have brand new, the best grass you can get. Scots. You know Scots? Scotch Miracle Grow. They're doing it. They do great grass. What can I tell you? I got to give them a plug because they did the White House for free. Sir, a friend of mine, a guy that he's terrific. We'd like to give you new grass at the White House. I said, I'll take it. How much? He said, free. I'll take it.
This was the deal. We'll do his grass for free. He'll shout us out. He'll also invest in the company, make a shitload of money on the back end. And it's all the company. Bro. Scott's Miracle-Gro distributes Roundup, a product that failed to disclose cancer risks with the main chemical glyphosate. Trump also recently signed an executive order to boost domestic production of glyphosate. They are so corrupt and so evil. He is now insider trading and profiting millions of dollars off of shoving a product on you that's going to give us cancer at a younger age and lead to the average age of death in this country, dropping more and more. This man belongs in prison for the rest of his fucking life, and anybody being honest will tell you that.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all. So the White House is currently panicking, and they're panicking because they've been so brazen and so over the top and so blatant with their war crimes and their criminality that they know it's caught up to them in terms of global perception, right? The U.S., there was a time where the U.S. tried to pretend like we're the good guys and we're like the world police and we're coming to save the day. Now, we don't do that. Trump's out there bragging about being an imperialist and a colonialist and a terrorist and killing innocent people and stealing oil and stealing gold. And so they're aware that this is now having consequences and that the world sees us for what we are. So in order to try to maintain hegemony and dominance, they're doing the exact dumbest thing they could possibly do, which is, take a look, this is literally from the State Department website. State Department launches campaign to dismantle the International Criminal Court's threat to American sovereignty. So they are trying to, in no uncertain terms, destroy the entire International Criminal Court, dismantle it, end it, and they're saying, oh, it's because it threatens our sovereignty. Okay, so here's what they say. Today, Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced a sweeping campaign to dismantle the threat posed by the International Criminal Court to U.S. sovereignty. The campaign will feature a whole-of-government response to systematically disable the ICC's ability to operate, target American servicemen or officials, or otherwise threaten American sovereignty. Now, let me ask you a question. Why would you think you have to do this? Unless you know you've done some fucked up shit. The thing that immediately comes to mind for me is the mass murder campaign that has been carried out in the Caribbean and the Pacific, where they go after these dinghy fishing boats and pretend like they're narco traffickers or whatever, narco terrorists, whatever goofy term they use. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, because even if they were narco traffickers or narco terrorists, whatever that means, you seize their goods and you fucking lock them up and you give them a trial. That's it. Instead, they've engaged in an extrajudicial murder campaign where they've killed over 180 people, most of them being literal fucking fishermen, and we have family members who can testify to the fact that their loved ones were fishermen. They were murdered. Allegedly, they also kidnapped some of these people, tortured some of these people, and by the way, it's all so illegal that the admiral who oversaw this stepped down when he saw what Pete Hegseth had in mind and what Marco Rubio had in mind. He said, I want nothing to do with this. I'm washing my hands of this. I'm resigning because this is some shit that's going to land your ass in the motherfucking Hague if we ever return to sanity. And so the reason why else would they do this unless they know, yeah, we ordered the attack on the Manab school in Iran. We purposely killed 160 little schoolgirls because they were the daughters of the IRGC leaders. Yeah, we did that. And who cares? We got to do what we want. The reason they're crashing out, the reason they're panicking is because they know we keep ordering blatant war crimes where we massacre innocent people. We just covered yesterday, Trump dropped a 2,000-pound bomb in a residential area in Kesham Island and killed an innocent man, woman, and their 2-year-old child. Okay, this is what's actually happening, and that's why they're like, we got to get rid of the ICC. Because if they ever actually uphold their duty, we are cooked, we are barbecued, it is donezo, we'll all be in prison. So it's basically like you can't imagine a more corrupt scenario. It's literally like a group of criminals going, we need to destroy the local court system and make it so we can never be tried. I mean, that's what this is. That's what this is. This is a gang doing gangster shit. Well, guess what? It goes a little deeper than that too, because it's not just about protecting their own asses. It's about protecting a little somebody else too, isn't it? Here they are. You get the Secretary of War Crimes, Pete Kegsbreath. You get Narco Rubio here. And you have the fat pedophile, war criminal, terrorist, death cultist himself, Donald Trump. And they're going to talk about what they're doing with the ICC. But pay close attention because Trump always accidentally says the quiet part out loud. Here we go.
So just a couple points that we all know. We've followed in the news, obviously, the events in the Middle East, and others here can talk about that. Not that they're not important, but there's some other issues happening around the world, Mr. President, that you've shown great leadership in and have not gotten nearly as much attention. I think they deserve to mention today. The first is the International Criminal Court is an illegitimate international organization that, frankly, illegitimate. They've made themselves illegitimate because they claim that even if you're not a member of that court, they can come after you. What that literally means in the future is that American servicemen, political leaders, and others could find themselves under indictment by this International Criminal Court. And if you want to know a little bit about it, Jack Smith used to work there. These are the people that think they can go out and basically indict any world leader in Hollywood.
By the way, the fact that Jack Smith used to work there only makes me like it more. Because he was a serious prosecutor who did his job properly. And he came out and said, if I was able to finish my job, Trump was definitely, he was done. He was cooked. It was over. They got him. They were going to convict him. For the documents case, for January 6th, for the fake elector slate, for all of it, he would have had him. But they're not done yet. Again, listen to when Trump chimes in. Pay attention here.
Under indictment by this International Criminal Court. Do you want to know a little bit about it? Jack Smith used to work there. These are the people that think they can go out and basically indict any world leader and haul them into The Hague. So we tried to get them to reform and listen to us. They wouldn't do it. They're very arrogant. We've now begun an effort to really try to...
We tried to get them to reform and listen to us. They wouldn't listen. They're very arrogant. Yes, Marco, they are very arrogant. Not us, the people carpet bombing and triple tapping a little girl's school. Not us, the people that just dropped a 2,000-pound bomb on a 2-year-old's head. Not us, the people that attacked power plants and bridges and civilian infrastructure in the Middle East. Not us, the people that armed and funded a genocide where at least 70,000 people were killed. It's a lot more than that. Not us. We're not the ones who are arrogant. They're arrogant because they said, no, we would like it if the law applied to everybody equally. We'd like that. And they go, how dare you? We have all the money and the weapons, so therefore we get to do whatever we want. Well, then all that bullshit talk of Western civilization and Enlightenment values and equality under the law, all that is horseshit. Because what you really want is might makes right. What you really want is law of the jungle. That's what you want. And the only reason you want it is because right now you feel like you're the biggest, baddest dude on the block. Well, guess what? You're not. And you'll learn that very soon, as you are now, because fucking Iran is clapping them cheeks, dog. All right, but we're not done. Let's keep going.
To really try to bring that court to heel.
By the way, there's no information that they're after me. It could happen.
There's no information that they're after me. The International Criminal Court is not after me shirt is leading to a lot of questions already answered by my shirt. Thou doth protest too much, but wait for it. Here we go.
There's no information that they're after me. It could happen. But just so you know, just keep talking about it. I'm saying that means that maybe he's not trying to defend me. He is trying to defend Bibi and various other people.
He just said it. I don't even need to do my job. All I have to do is play a motherfucking clip of these depraved, wretched, little, vile, demented cretins and just point and go, I don't have to say anything. I don't have to do anything. He does my job for me. See, this is where under a normal regime, I'd come out here and be like, you know who else they're protecting? They're protecting Benjamin Netanyahu. Because that guy committed so many war crimes, I can't even motherfucking keep up. I mean, he basically admitted to starving an entire population. He basically admitted to that. They attacked fucking UN buildings. They attacked World Central Kitchen workers. They shot people that were waving white flags. They shot toddlers in the face. They had hostages getting graped in prisons that were really concentration camps that are now becoming death camps. Any crime you could make up, they did that shit. Think of the most depraved shit you can. Israel did it, right? And Trump just says it. He goes, oh yeah, we're definitely trying to protect Bibi. Destroying the entire infrastructure and apparatus of international law to let new Hitler get away with doing new Nazi shit. Oh my days. Oh my word. I can't. Sometimes I pinch myself and I think this can't be real life. This can't be real life. We haven't improved one iota since World War II. We arguably haven't improved one iota since the motherfucking Dark Ages, listening to this asshole run his mouth. I mean, it is the levels of evil are off the charts, and I am astonished that any of these people can sleep at night for even a second. Because I don't know what to tell you. Netanyahu, Donald Trump, this entire regime, you're all the new Nazis. Like, all of you are the new Nazis. And that's not even like a reach. In the past, you say something like that and you go, is it hyperbolic? Yeah, I guess it's a little hyperbolic. But now it's like, I'm sorry, that's not remotely hyperbolic. When you're looking at routinely bombing innocent fishermen in the Caribbean and the Pacific, random people from Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago and Colombia, when you look at regime change in Venezuela, where you kidnap the president and then steal their oil and their gold and personally profit off it to the tune of $13 billion, when you look at a guy who just in the past 2 years bombed Yemen and Somalia and Nigeria and Ecuador and is doing a regime change in Iran, doing an illegal war. When you look at a guy who's threatening to steal Greenland and Panama and Canada and Cuba and Mexico, you would be better off listing the countries that Trump does not want to go to war with. Because, that's a shorter list than the countries he wants to go to war with. It's insane, bro. It's insane. He says he stopped 8 wars when he started 8 wars. What are we doing? And here he is going, I mean, we're trying to protect, not me, but we're trying to protect Bibi Netanyahu. No, you're all new Nazis doing new Nazi shit, and it's time for regular people to acknowledge that. But you know what? I think deep down, regular people are beginning to acknowledge that.
He's not trying to defend me. He is trying to defend Bibi and various other people. But there are many people that shouldn't be looked at that way. But there is no indication that I'm one of them.
Look at the smile on his face. He thinks it's funny. He thinks it's cute. They literally want to make a world where it's like, we get to commit crimes because we're the good guys, because I say so. But like, whatever we do is fine. Like, literally, we can have Israel grape hostages in prisons as a matter of standard operating procedure, and that's okay because we're us. So it's okay. Israel's Israel. The U.S. is the U.S. We're the good guys because we say we're the good guys. Therefore, the bad things we do don't count as bad. What is there to even say at this point?
Of them at this moment.
Well, and I actually think there are people who
By the way, the people laughing in the room are just depraved. They're wretched freaks. I mean,
The biggest danger in our system are servicemen, people in uniform. They'll try to go out for the rest of their life. Will not be able to travel anywhere in the world with their families because they can be arrested on one of these. Imagine, you're a soldier, you fought in a war, and 20 years later they try to come grab you. So this is a big problem. So we've had dozens of countries already join us since we started 2 weeks ago. 5 countries have already quit the ICC and notified them that they're leaving, and we think there'll be more.
Yeah, our fucking vassal states. Here's an idea. Don't commit war crimes, right? Like, just don't commit war crimes. That's all. If you don't want to be arrested by the ICC or the ICJ or whatever international body, don't do things that you know are obviously illegal. There's been a massive uptick, by the way, in the military of soldiers looking for legal advice because they keep being asked to do shit that they feel is horribly wrong, right? There was an 80-year-old grandma who was murdered when they attacked Venezuela. They bombed Caracas when they kidnapped Maduro. They killed an 80-year-old grandma named Rosa Gonzalez. They killed a single mother who was trying to bring her kids to safety. This is stuff that they do. And so the people who are, doing the airstrikes, calling the shots, like, yeah, you're criminals and you should be fucking locked up. I'm just following orders. They tried that defense at Nuremberg. It didn't fucking work. We didn't buy it. But now they want to rewrite the rules because now it's us doing the Nazi shit. So what is there to say? I mean, this is, and you just know that the smarter people in the White House are looking at this and absolutely positively wincing. You know that they're going, motherfucker, why do you keep saying the quiet part loud? Stop doing that. Trump always tells on himself. It's a law of nature.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all. So Kamala Harris spoke at the National Urban League Conference. She broke her silence, and suffice to say, she pops off a little bit here at the criminality of the Trump regime and his destruction of this country. Let's listen. Here we go.
And we must allow for a real conversation about revisiting certain things. For example, and I know this is going to be controversial coming from me in particular, we need to revisit the Electoral College. We need to revisit the point of expanding the court to 13 justices like we have 13 district courts. We need to revisit, if they so want, statehood for Puerto Rico and D.C.
Yes.
If we regain control of the Senate. I served on this committee, the Senate Judiciary Committee, when I was in the Senate.
It seems to me, and you guys tell me if you agree, she got the memo in the sense that she doesn't think she lost because she went too far left. She thinks she lost perhaps because she didn't go far enough in breaking with Biden on the issue of Gaza. They weren't forward-thinking enough. They weren't progressive enough. She sees Zoran's win. She sees Malat Kiros's win. She sees the rise of Democratic Socialists of America. She sees Chris Robb's win. She looks at all of that and she goes, oh, okay. And I told you guys, what I feared for 2028 in the Democratic primary is that a relatively centrist Democrat reads the moment properly and starts to sound more like us and then gets in there and ends up governing in a very centrist way. That would be the worst case scenario. But I thought it would be Gavin Newsom who would try to sound like us more so and do it more effectively. But funny enough, Newsom is sort of shitting the bed in many respects and not sounding like us. And Kamala's going, hey, I got the memo. Watch this shit. So she's saying, effectively, she's hinting at expanding the court. She's hinting at getting rid of the Electoral College. And, those are all good-ass ideas. And they weren't things that they came anywhere near saying when they ran in 2024. All right, but we're not done yet. Let's keep going. Now she talks about the Iran war, and she's pretty fucking clear. Here we go.
This war is a war of choice that this president got into with Israel,
Yes.
with no clear national security issue for us. If you look at it in terms of what was happening with the nuclear program.
War of choice, no reason to be in it, nothing to do with protecting us here at home, doing it with Israel, for Israel. I mean, she's not wrong. She was asked in a different event if she would have done this, and she was like, fucking hell no, I wouldn't have done this. And that, by the way, that's a point that I've made 1,000 times. I had my issues with Kamala Harris. I had my disagreements with Kamala Harris. But the fact of the matter is, if you're still doing the both sides are equally bad shtick in the year of our Lord 2026, your brain is not functioning. You got a motherfucking cinder block in between your ears. Because there's about a 0% chance that Kamala would have made a motherfucking crypto coin and her husband would have made a crypto coin, and they would have robbed their Democratic supporters with a crypto shit coin or meme coin. Wouldn't have happened. Kamala Harris would not have carpet bombed innocent fishermen in the Caribbean and the Pacific and murdered at least 180 of them. It wouldn't have happened. She would not have started that illegal war against Iran. It wouldn't have happened. So it's just crazy to me if people are still doing the both sides shtick in 2026. That, to me, that just drives me absolutely fucking crazy. But she's not done yet. We also have this one. And on this one, I have some disagreements with her. Let's listen and I'll break it down for you.
First of all, he is the first president in the United States, Democrat or Republican, who has openly thumbed his nose at the importance of alliances.
That's true.
Imperfect though many of them have been, but this one openly thumbs his nose at the importance of alliances. The other thing he openly does is thumb his nose at the notion that America should be a protector of international rules and norms. He is an isolationist with a supposed America First agenda, who, because of his failure to understand America's role, imperfect though we may be, has accomplished two things. He has accomplished making America seem less reliable as a partner, and he has accomplished that America now has less authority than it ever did to weigh in on global matters.
See, here's the thing. He's actually not at all an isolationist. He's the polar opposite of an isolationist. If he were an isolationist, we'd be in a much better position right now. You could argue he's like an economic isolationist because he's blowing up all of our deals with our trading partners and making our allies hate us too. That's a fair point. But when she was saying isolationist, she meant it in the context of foreign policy. And Kamala, here's the reality. Donald Trump is a neocon, warmonger, imperialist, colonialist, and he is the purest iteration of that ideology. Okay, so when you say he's an isolationist, you're actually letting him off way too easy. He's not an isolationist. Stop saying that. He's a warmonger. He's a neocon, warhawk, warmonger, criminal, imperialist, colonialist, which is why he's kidnapping presidents like in Venezuela, and he's stealing their oil and he's stealing their gold, and then he brags about it as he's got $13 billion with a B sitting in a private account he has in Qatar. So I didn't like that line because the implication there is the problem is that he's withdrawing from the world. No, the problem is that he's murdering innocent people left and right and ruining not only our alliances around the world, but making it so we're like the Fourth Reich along with Israel. That's the problem. The Fourth Reich thing and being the axis of Epstein, that's sort of the problem. It's not that he's an isolationist. I wish he was a foreign policy isolationist because then there wouldn't be a war with Iran, right? So anyway, but we're not done yet. Let's keep going here. Now she goes in on the election and what we're about to face. Here we go.
Place where your grandparents always voted. And so on election day, when they go to that elementary school down the block, they might find that polling place is closed. Registering folks to vote and having an agenda that is about turning out the vote in the greatest numbers we have ever seen, so that in light of and in this environment where they are cheating, we will be too big to rig. Too big to rig. It means being ruthless. They are ruthless. We need to be ruthless too. And by that, I do not mean cruel. That is not our nature. By that, I do not mean breaking the law. That is not what we do. But I do mean we must be uncompromising. And we must allow for a real conversation about revisiting certain things.
And that's where she goes on and she talks about all these actual left-wing ideas and she proposes them. The too big to rig thing is 100% correct, and the ruthless thing is 100% correct. And I'm going to warn all y'all right now, man. Kamala Harris has been leading for the past month or two. Every single poll I've seen for the midterms has her leading in the Democratic primary. For the 2028 election, for the Democratic primary. Every single one. There was a time when Newsom would lead for some and Kamala would lead for some, and then maybe every now and then you throw in like a Buttigieg or somebody. Now, every single national Democratic primary poll for 2028 has Kamala Harris leading. Do not sleep on her, because national name recognition matters a lot. And she right now has the highest name recognition of any Democrat who would run, way higher than even Gavin Newsom, for example, higher than AOC. And so that name recognition, plus the fact that she seemingly learned the proper lesson from her loss, that people want to hear you sound more left-wing, sound more revolutionary, sound more like a DSA type, she could be a force to be reckoned with. This is not the Kamala Harris that ran and had to drop out before Iowa when she first ran for president. This is not that same Kamala Harris. This is not the same Kamala Harris as 2024. It's not. And so I wouldn't sleep on her capability to be one of the strongest contending candidates on the Democratic side. But like I said, the onus and the burden is going to be on actual left-wing Democrats who have the track record of being more left-wing. It's going to be on us to say, hey, no, here's why we mean it and she doesn't. Here's why when we say Medicare for all, motherfucker, we mean Medicare for all. We mean free college. We mean a living wage. We mean ending the wars. We mean taxing the rich. We mean redistributing the wealth. We mean cutting off money and weapons to Israel. And that's the only way you topple somebody with this name recognition and this much of a lead, right? It's very possible that it's sort of like a 2008 Rudy Giuliani type thing, where on the Republican side, Rudy Giuliani was leading every Republican primary poll for the president for 2008, then he immediately collapsed. It's possible, but I think Kamala is probably more formidable than that, and people need to recognize that, okay? That she's like doing this rebrand, and the rebrand is kind of landing, and she's already got a default lead in the polls, so whoever is the left-wing option or the multiple left-wing options, be prepared. Be prepared. But there you have it. She's going in. And here's the other thing. She's definitely running in 2028. And she's made that crystal clear.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So this right here, what you're about to see, this is what Piers Morgan's show is good for. Yes, it's a circus. Yes, it's, get the most opinionated and loudest voices in politics online to scream at each other and humiliate each other. And it's about the spectacle and whatnot. It's not, some intellectual highfalutin thing here. But every now and then you get a gem that comes out of there. Okay, this is a great example. So the Iranian professor, Marandi, who, by the way, we've had on Crystal Kyle and Friends, he's literally part of the Iranian negotiating team when it came to, talking to the U.S. and trying to make a deal, right? But he speaks to Alan Dershowitz, also known as one of Epstein's bestie. He was literally Epstein's lawyer when Epstein was alive. Alan fucked up by agreeing to this because he probably didn't know anything about Professor Marandi. He probably didn't know that he was about to get absolutely railroaded and draxed on air. I mean, this is brutal. This is vicious. This is a public mauling. Okay, so here we go. Let's dive into it, and we'll break it down as we go here.
Oh, is it my turn? Because you've been, for the last half an hour, you've been busy with the spokesman for genocide and Epstein's buddy, who used to go to Rape Island with him. For a person who frequented Rape Island, I think anything that he says is nonsense. And I listened to him.
Sir, that's not exactly right, and you better refrain, or maybe I'll sue you. And I'm like, oh my God. And Ronnie's like, yeah, you go to Rape Island, bitch. Oh no, this is already falling apart.
I listened to him, but he's a lawyer, yet he cannot tolerate the words of a layman. That's how weak his argument is.
I hate to say this, but I think I'm in 1935, and I'm sitting opposite Joseph Goebbels right now.
The lack of substance from Zionists like Dershowitz, it's off the charts. It's astronomical. Marandi is literally smiling because he's like, this is child's play for me. This is nothing. I can defeat you in my sleep. In fact, watch, he's going to flip it right back on.
And he's making the propaganda case for the Nazi regime, just the way this professor is making the propaganda case for the new Nazi regime, which is the regime of Iran. Will you at least admit, sir, that Iran murdered in cold blood as many as 50,000 innocent protesters? And would you admit, if that's true, that comes closer to genocide than anything that Israel has been accused of doing in self-defense after its people were raped, kidnapped, murdered on October 7th? Would you at least admit that the Iranian regime has killed many, many, many thousands of people? Yes or no?
You know, we are not in 1935. We
Yes
are
or
not
no?
in 1939. We are in 1942. You are the Nazi regime that is carrying out a Holocaust in Gaza. You are the Nazi who is doing it as we speak. You're the evil monster. My regime is infinitely superior to your genocidal regime that helped the Israeli regime in the genocide. My regime, as you like to call it, your guest doesn't want me to speak, obviously. My regime did not pull the plug on little infants in the hospital, in the premature babies in the Al-Nasser hospital. Pull the plug on those premature babies and let them die. My regime didn't do that. The regime that you support did that. But getting back to the topic, the reality is that chemical weapons were used on our country with the support of your government. I survived 2 chemical attacks. And then your guest has the audacity to say that Iran would use weapons of mass destruction. During the Iran-Iraq war, the state, the leader, refused to produce chemical weapons. Even though the military politicians asked him, he said, no, it's immoral. So we had to suffer your chemical weapons, and your governments prevented our government from even purchasing gas masks. My gas mask was bought on the black market.
Oh my God, he's just killing him. Oh, this is so rough. Zionists rely on you not knowing anything. They rely on people being lazy and ignorant and uninformed on the facts of the world, on the facts of geopolitics. And Marandi knows the facts on this stuff. So Dershowitz and his propaganda, it hits a brick wall and it can't go anywhere.
It was North Korean. So don't talk about weapons of mass destruction to me when my friends have died because of your chemical weapons. Your regime is the regime that has used nuclear weapons twice. And your ally, your genocidal ally, the apartheid regime, the illegitimate regime, where 44% of young Jews below the age of 35 in the United States, believe that Jews and Palestinians have to live together in one state with equal rights. That is exactly the Iranian policy. So despite your propaganda, despite your nonsense, despite the lies that you promote, people are waking up. Jews in the United States are waking up. Christians, Muslims, people from all walks of life are seeing who's carrying out a Holocaust in Gaza. You know, Ronald Reagan, when this genocidal regime in 1982 invaded Lebanon, he called it a Holocaust. This is far worse than the Holocaust of 1982. The only guilt of the Iranian people, and Hezbollah and Yemen, is that they say no to genocide. That has been the guilt for 47 years. For decades, your regime has been supporting the apartheid and genocidal regime of Israel and supporting the most brutal regimes across the world in Latin America and Africa, in our region and in Asia. But Israel, the only time your hostility is towards Iran because Iran says no to ethno-supremacism, just like 46% of young Jews in the United States. Iran says no to genocide, no to ethnic cleansing, no to colonization, and that Palestine must be a land where Jews and Christians and Muslims live as equal human beings. Your regime bombed a synagogue in Tehran. Why? Because that synagogue was not a Zionist synagogue.
Oh my God. Dershowitz is reacting like it's not real. That's fucking real. I remember covering it. I remember the pictures. I remember the videos. He's shaking his head. Well, we wouldn't bomb a synagogue. The fuck you wouldn't. Is there a single depraved crime Israel hasn't committed? You should play a game where you come up with a sadistic scenario and then look it up and see if Israel did it. And the reason why the game is difficult is because whatever you can fucking come up with, Israel did it. Shooting toddlers in the face? Check. Bombing UN buildings? Check. Bombing World Central Kitchen workers? Check. Shooting people who are waving white flags? Check. Starving an entire population of people? Check. Having systematic rape happen at Israeli prisons, which are now concentration camps and death camps? Check. We can go on and on. They had a right to rape protest, bro. Stop and think about that. And Dersh was, we wouldn't bomb a synagogue. Are you kidding me? If they're anti-Zionist Jews, that would be standard operating procedure to bomb them and to assault them. I mean, this is what ethno-supremacy is.
Iran says no to genocide, no to ethnic cleansing, no to colonization, and that Palestine must be a land where Jews and Christians and Muslims live as equal human beings. Your regime bombed a synagogue in Tehran. Why? Because that synagogue was not a Zionist synagogue. You hate Jews. You hate Jews that are not Zionists. You are an anti-Semite because you kill Palestinians, and you're from Eastern Europe. You have no right to slaughter and rape and murder. The audience can judge for themselves. In fact, when you say Iran has no freedom of speech, your host, I've invited him to come to Iran on multiple occasions to see if there is free speech. When I tell him to read the book Going to Tehran, he gets angry because it goes against his narrative. But you speak on behalf of an ethno-supremacist regime, and you speak of free speech. Your country is run by oligarchs.
We've covered anti-war Israelis who were immediately locked up for protesting. I forget if it was the Iran war or the genocide in Gaza, but we covered what happens is if you actually speak up against the Israeli government, they'll lock your ass up. In the U.S., they deported people for making Charlie Kirk jokes. Go ask Mahmoud Khalil and Rumeysa Ozturk if we have freedom of speech on the issue of Palestinian rights. I mean, Trump has gone to war with the First Amendment. He's suing media outlets for stating facts about him. So to have some smug lecture about freedom of speech from somebody like Alan Dershowitz, who, by the way, sues people every 17 seconds if they say stuff that he doesn't like. The number of times he said, that's libel, that's slander, and he sues people. I mean, give me a fucking break. You don't support free speech at all, Alan Dershowitz. Are you fucking kidding me?
You think that the people of the United States have free speech when they lose their jobs, when on campus they can't talk out against the Israeli regime and the brutality of the regime? Don't talk nonsense. People lose their jobs in your country. Their futures are destroyed when they speak truth to power.
Of course, I believe in complete equality for everybody. Now, I want to ask you the question. Do you think
the West Bank and Gaza? In the West, don't run away from the answer. You say that the Palestinian you answer the question. You say that the Israeli regime should dismantle the system that now exists, and that all Palestinians in the land of Gaza and in the West Bank should have the right of vote and should have citizenship to this land, and they cannot be removed from their homes. You say that, right? You accept that,
yes,
right?
Of course. I think that they should be citizens of an independent state in Gaza, an independent state.
No. I didn't say that. I did not say that. Don't change. No.
Right
Do you accept that the people in Gaza are refugees from Palestine?
I believe in peaceful Israel.
Answer the question. Answer the question. The people in Gaza are refugees from Palestine. They're not from Gaza. Gaza was a village 50, 60, 70 years ago. The people in the West Bank, many of them are not from the West Bank. Many people in Jordan, they are not from Jordan or Lebanon or in Syria or in Egypt. The Palestinian population that has been expelled from their homes, that have been kicked out of their homes and have been decimated for decades. You believe that within Palestine, what is now today called Israel, plus the West Bank and Gaza, that they should have equal rights and citizenship.
Let's remember how it started. 1947.
Never make the mistake of asking a Zionist a direct question, right? And by the way, I love and they all do this, right? Crystal got the liberal Zionist congressman on this. Oh, I believe in democracy and I believe in equal rights, but there's always, they do that thing where it's like, except in this one particular instance wherein Israel has the right to remain a Jewish ethno-state, where they can put themselves above people who are not Israeli Jews. Well, then you don't actually believe in democracy. You don't believe in secularism. You don't believe in the Enlightenment. You don't believe in one person, one vote or equality. You don't. If you're making exceptions, you don't believe in it. Sorry. That's like saying, oh yeah, I believe in democracy, except for apartheid South Africa, because we need to maintain the white majority in apartheid South Africa. Well, that's insane. Everybody would say, well, you don't believe in the things that you just said you believed in. And this is why Dershowitz is squirming here, is because he knows he can't just say it, right? He can't just say the thing that he actually thinks. And so he scored, oh, let's go back in history to the beginning of the thing. And that's why when you look at the history of it, sorry, buddy, if you look at the history, it doesn't make it any fucking better for Israel. It doesn't.
What is now today called Israel, plus the West Bank and Gaza, that they should have equal rights and citizenship.
Let's remember how it started. 1947, the UN partition.
No. Just say yes or no. So in response to your nonsense, the nonsense about 50,000 people, those lies have been responded to by the Iranian people. Stop ranting. I'm speaking. You're a lawyer. You're a lawyer. 3,117 people died thanks to an armed insurgency that your regime and the Israeli regime funded and supported. And you're a coward. You are a coward. You won't let me talk. You're afraid. You're afraid of me talking.
Don't tell me I'm afraid.
The lawyer, Epstein's lawyer, Trump's lawyer, is afraid of me, a layman, talking. Why? Because you have no legs to stand on. The Iranian people have spoken. They went to the streets in the tens of millions. They went. You're a coward. You won't let me talk. I let you talk because I'm not afraid of you. People are not afraid of you anymore. You can kill Epstein. You can kill whoever you like, but we're not afraid. You can bomb my house. You can kill me with my family, but I'm not afraid of you. I will support the Palestinian people until your regime bombs my home. So go and tell them that. I am prepared to die for the Palestinian people. But you who used to frequent Epstein Island, you have no principles and no morality.
Oh, my days. Oh, my word. When I think of Alan Dershowitz or Rabbi Shmuley, for example, why do they agree to do this? Maybe they just know that they're the heel, right? And they're okay with being mass despised and like literally nobody liking them and everybody looking at them in fucking disgust. But like, if they think they're helping the cause of Zionism and Israel and all of these illegal wars of aggression and the genocide, if they think they're you're not helping, bro. You're making it worse. Whatever cause you open your mouth in favor of, immediately is worse off because you're just so unlikable and so gross. I mean, and like here's somebody who was one of Epstein's bestie to make the case for Israel and Zionism. Like, that kind of speaks for itself, right? Like, I'm gonna go ahead and go no on this one. Let's go in the other direction with it. So Marandi just fucking absolutely obliterated him. 917,000 views on Twitter. Just Mortal Kombat, flawless victory style. Just incredible to watch there. Dershowitz, man, just give it a rest. Give it a rest. Did you guys see that video? I think it was at like Martha's Vineyard or the Hamptons or some shit like that. And he went to some marketplace, some outside marketplace, and they were all like, get the fuck out of here. We don't like you around here. And he was crashing out and he was yelling and saying, these people are anti-Semites. I mean, like, this is what's happened is like, because he snuggled up to Trump, because he's such a hardcore genocidal Zionist hack, because he's Epstein's bestie, now like even in his high society circles, like everybody fucking hates him. Everybody hates him and they should. This is well-earned, son. Fucking, walk around with the stench on you that everybody knows you have now. There's no way out. This is who you are forever. You're going down in history as, an Epstein, bestie, genocidal, Zionist lunatic. Deal with it.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
It's happening again, y'all. It's happening again. So MAGA is desperate to go after James Talarico, and it's backfiring. Every time they try something, it backfires. I mean, you had Ken Paxton, the second most corrupt man in America behind Donald Trump. He was out there running the Talarico campaign, right? Like, they just thought if we call him Talarico enough, if we say he loves trans people, if we say he's weird and he's vegan, then, he's going to be emasculated, and people will be like, not in Texas, son. You got to be like a big swinging dick macho man prick in order to be liked here in Texas, son. But here's the thing, it backfired. Turns out all of your fear-mongering around trans issues comes to naught when people can't afford fucking gas and can't afford groceries. Like, yeah, that's what's going to happen, you dipshits. And so now they're pivoting, and now the reporting is that Paxton is going to focus more on economic type stuff. Okay, interesting. Now, I still don't think that's going to work, because what's the Republican message on economics? It's let's give more money to the Epstein class and everybody shut the fuck up and deal with it. Like that's their proposal, right? So here's Talarico. This video was posted by a right-wing account. More on that in a second. But listen to what they got Talarico saying here.
We can finish the work of President Obama and pass a public option so that every single American has access to the health care they deserve.
I think it's a misnomer that, if you run on Medicare for all, it'll hurt you in a red state. I disagree with that. Medicare for all is just universal health care. Everybody loves Medicare. It polls very high. Medicare for all is universal health care. Every other developed country has it. I do think it's sort of weak and chicken shit that he won't just run on that. But having said that, I know the calculation he's making is it's Texas, so he thinks Medicare for all would scare people away. I don't agree, but nonetheless, let's continue.
Because healthcare is a human right. It is not a privilege. Since we are in church, and because I said BS earlier, if you read our scriptures, if you read the New Testament, what does Jesus spend most of his time doing? It's not, well, you already know, okay. It's not preaching, it's not teaching, it is healing the sick. And in Matthew 25, Scripture says that's how we will be judged and how we will be saved. By healing the sick, by feeding the hungry, by welcoming the stranger, by visiting the prisoner. We can
Okay, so like I said, this was clipped by right-wingers. Ready? Breitbart News says, James Talarico says the Bible demands government-run health insurance. Quote, if you read the New Testament, what does Jesus spend most of his time doing? It's not preaching, it's not teaching, it's healing the sick. And in Matthew 25, Scripture says that's how we will be judged and how we will be saved. They're posting this like it's a gotcha. See, this is why Republicans are cruising for an absolute historic tsunami against them. Because this is how out of touch they are. They think, in this world that we're living in, with Trump waging multiple illegal wars, with the price of everything skyrocketing, they think your reaction is going to be, oh no, providing more people with health care? Never. Like, who's going to react like that? Bro, who's going to fucking react like that? Oh my God, you guys are so stupid. Even I, at this late date, I cover these right-wingers for a living. Even I, give them too much credit sometimes. Like, you would think that this is a left-wing or liberal mole working at Breitbart News who's posting this in an attempt to make Talarico look better. But no, this is what I keep telling you guys. If you run a campaign that's actually a left-wing campaign and you run on left-wing policies, what ends up happening is you bait the idiot Republicans into attacking you on your strengths. So if you're out there going, we need to raise the minimum wage to a living wage, then they go, how dare you, I'm against a living wage. And then it's like, okay, well then, congrats, you just took the opposite side of an 85-15 issue. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. You just shot yourself in the dick and balls. Like, this, they fuck it up. They fuck it up every time. So again, if you go out there and say, I'm for universal healthcare. I'm not. I want millions of people to not have healthcare. Okay. Hey, I'm against the wars. We should stop waging illegal wars. I think we should continue to wage illegal wars. Like, do you see what I'm talking about here? That if you argue for common sense left-wing positions, raising taxes on the rich, for example, they're going to, how dare you? I don't want to raise taxes on the Epstein class and the perverts and pedophiles and criminals. Okay, well, that's not going to work out too well for you. So this is why it's always been bullshit that you have to run a more centrist-y campaign or a moderate campaign or whatever. No, say left-wing things and then just call it moderate, right? Like, oh yeah, I'm for raising taxes on the rich. I'm for moderate policies like raising taxes on the rich. Oh, why is it moderate? Why is it centrist? I don't know. It's right smack dab in the center of mainstream American opinion because 80% of people want to do it, right? So backfired. Okay, not done yet though because we got more. So here, another right-wing account posts the following clip. Let's listen.
Trickle-down economics is not a theory. It is theft. They have been stealing the wealth that we all created. It's why everything sucks right now. It's why people are so angry.
All right, so RNC Research says, Democrat Senate candidate James Talarico. Notice how they said Democrat candidate, not Democratic. Like everything they do just oozes with contempt and hatred. Democrat Senate candidate James Talarico goes on a rant calling capitalism theft. Notice he actually didn't say capitalism. It would have been more based if he said capitalism. He didn't. He said trickle-down economics, which is a particular version of capitalism, which says only cut taxes for the mega wealthy and then the wealth will trickle down to regular people. The fuck it does. We've had long-term studies which say exactly the opposite. The wealth does not trickle down in the slightest. The whole idea of trickle-down economics is a ruse created by billionaires to allow billionaires to have all the money and the rest of us to be fucking slave peasants and fail. Quote, trickle-down economics is not a theory, it's theft. They have been stealing the wealth that we all created. It's why everything sucks right now. So again, I want to reiterate, the last attack job was done by Breitbart News. This one was done by RNC Research. I'm actually beginning to think that this is a mole, a left-wing mole, inside both these places, and they're trying to make James look good. Because there's no other way you can explain this. Like, you would think Republicans are not this stupid, where they think they're freaking it by going with this line of attack. You're just making him look cooler. You're just making him look better. You're just like, reminding people how rigged the system is and how there's one candidate who's against it, and it's not the Republican. Like, I don't know what to tell you guys. Can they come up with a way? They couldn't have come up with a way to make them look better if they tried, right? Like, they couldn't actually do it. And it's working, bro. It's working. The last 3 or 4 polls I saw all have James Talarico up with a low of like 2 or 3 points up and a high of like 7 points up. But this is Texas we're talking about. This is fucking Texas we're talking about, dog. Texas. So we'll see. But Ken Paxton also being a uniquely shitty candidate also hurts them. They're attacking him on his strengths, which is only making him look better. And Ken Paxton is like literally the second most corrupt person in America behind Donald J. Trump. And that comes across. Can't keep his dick in his pants, even though he runs on Christian values, committed bribery and all sorts of corruption, impeached by his own party. I mean, the guy's a fucking mess. So they're uniquely in a weak position, and Talarico is uniquely in a strong position. And so we'll see, but the trajectory this race is on is kind of wild.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all. So RFK Jr., who of course is Health and Human Services Secretary, he went on CNN and he basically had a pretty aggressive fight here with Dana Bash. Now, look, I'm no fan of Dana Bash. She's a horrible Zionist and she's a centrist claptrap purveyor. I have many issues with her. Having said that, RFK Jr. is mentally damaged. like this guy's got problems. They get into it on a number of different issues. But this one here, he's asked in a very simple way, hey, how do you prepare for the next pandemic? And RFK shits the bed obnoxiously. I don't even know. He has the wettest, most diarrhea-ish, disgusting, putrid-smelling feces attack of all time. Let's listen. Here we go.
How do you prepare for the next pandemic? I mean, that's literally part of your job now because experts think it's going to happen within the next 10 years again.
Yeah, I mean, I think we did virtually everything wrong the last time.
So what about now?
It literally was not the question. The question is, what do we do now? How do we prepare for the next pandemic? This is really not a difficult question. Oh, we're staffing up the specific agency that, tries to prevent the next one from coming, and we're making sure that we have a stockpile of masks if need be, and we're making sure that we have all of our therapeutics on hand. We have all of our researchers who are, trying to get ahead of the next one, monitoring everywhere. This is not a difficult question for anybody who's in HHS. I think last time we did a really horrible job, and I think that Dr. Fauci belongs in prison, and excuse me, I gotta go suck a couple raccoon dicks and behead a whale or two and then eat it. You do know that if you're the guy who was caught chopping off raccoon dicks and the guy who was driving on the road with a beheaded whale dumping intestines all over the highway, you do know that you sort of forfeit your ability to be viewed as the science guy, right? If you think nicotine is good for you and you take a peptide that makes your skin darker, maybe sit it out when it comes to science, when it comes to medical research, when it comes to, this level of an important job. Even fucking Tim Dillon, who's a fan of RFK, was going, what are you even doing these days? He's posting videos on Instagram of himself fighting a yak. I mean, that's what he's doing. That, and he's grandstanding on fucking CNN. Dr. Fauci is actually the worst, and I think Dr. Fauci probably committed the crime of genocide, and I'm willing to lock him up at The Hague, but I definitely wouldn't lock up Benjamin Netanyahu. He didn't commit genocide, and I think we should make it mandatory to make everybody take Flintstones vitamins in the morning, and also chop off woodland creature's penis at night. Like, come on, man.
The principal thing that we need to do is we need to listen to what's happening to doctors on the ground. There are 15 million frontline physicians around the world. They're mainly now connected through the internet. We can tell on the front lines what's working and what's not.
This is totally not an answer. How do we prevent the next pandemic? Listen to the doctors on the ground. She asked about preventing the next pandemic, and you're saying when we're in it, let's listen to the doctors. That wasn't the fucking question.
If we had listened to those doctors during the COVID pandemic, we would have saved potentially millions of lives.
No, you fucking idiot. They need guidance from you. People don't show up with some new virus and every doctor just magically knows how to treat it. That's not how it fucking works.
There were therapeutics out there that were working. There were doctors that were having no deaths from COVID and treating, in some cases, thousands of patients. And we weren't listening to them. Instead,
oh my God, he's literally doing like the hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin shit. Like he's literally doing that. Oh my days, what are we doing?
We were doing the opposite. We were shutting them down. And then, Dana, the other thing that I would say is that we need to protect our constitutional rights. That is the primary obligation.
What does that mean?
You're asked about how to prevent the next pandemic. You're the constitutional rights. If you gave a shit about our fucking constitutional rights, you'd be calling out Trump. You would have resigned in protest. You would have resigned in protest and said, I can't be with this regime anymore. Look at what Stephen Miller is doing. He's destroyed the Constitution. He's made it so we have no more due process. That's now gone. He's made it so you don't need a warrant anymore to search shit, which is completely illegal, completely unconstitutional, but he's ripping it to shreds. They're abducting people and kidnapping people. He's destroyed the First Amendment. He's locked up people for their free speech. He sued the media for telling the truth. And you have the nerve to say, we need to protect our constitutional rights. Well, the government you're part of is destroying it right now, and you have fuck all to fucking say about it. You only bring it up in the context of trying to pretend like, the reaction to COVID was the destruction of all of our constitutional rights. What happened? I thought you guys said the fucking lockdowns would never end and we'd be locked up forever. Turns out that was bullshit. Turns out that was nonsense. You get this guy talking in specifics what he thinks about different scientific issues. He's wrong about literally all of it. And he just flat out makes shit up. Crystal caught him making some shit up when Crystal grilled him. He said some shit that she fact-checked after, and she was like, this is the exact opposite of what he said. He just makes shit up. It's incredible. You're going to bring up the fucking Constitution right now, working for the Trump regime, when they've destroyed the Constitution. And you were asked about how to prevent a pandemic. You weren't asked about constitutional rights. Give the answer to the question that was asked. Oh, my days.
Well, during COVID, we completely dismantled our constitutional rights. We began censoring people in violation of the First Amendment.
But you're saying what not?
Any thoughts on people who were deported for joking about Charlie Kirk? You disgusting prick. Any thoughts on the people who were locked up for decades after handing out anti-ICE pamphlets? Any thoughts on that? You gonna fucking lecture about free speech when you work for the biggest enemy of free speech in U.S. history? Talk to Romesa Ozturk. Talk to Mahmoud Khalil. Being pro-Palestine was enough to get them fucked with. He's got some nerve, bro.
Not to do. I'm asking what to do. But I want to talk about.
That's something to do. That is the number one priority. We protect the Constitution. The Constitution was written.
Forgive me, but you're talking about rights, and I'm asking about a potential public health crisis that is coming. But I do want to
And one of the mistakes we made in the last time was suppressing those rights so people weren't being heard. The doctors who were saying you're doing it wrong were being marginalized and vilified.
Yeah,
and
because again, I really want to move on. But
yeah,
you were saying
yes, I do. Part of the problem.
No, I wasn't part of the
No, bitch, you were part of the motherfucking problem. I got issues with CNN. I got issues with virtually everything that went down during the pandemic. But don't act like you weren't the biggest motherfucking problem, spreading all sorts of misinformation that you didn't know dick about dick. But you didn't care. You were spreading and pretending like you're some sort of experts and convincing idiots like Joe Rogan that you had all the motherfucking answers. Meanwhile, you're the biggest anti-vax crank in the country, maybe even the fucking world. And you're peddling your horse shit, and now we have a massive measles outbreak that you're directly responsible for. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there was absolute press malpractice. You weren't allowing your
Mr.
job.
Secretary,
your job is a fierce skepticism toward authority. And
yes,
you weren't doing that.
You are completely being servile and loyal to authority in the form of Donald J. Trump. You are slobbing on his motherfucking knob as part of his cult, and you have the nerve to lecture others about you don't have a healthy skepticism of authority. Bitch, you are part of the new Nazi regime. and you are genuflecting at the altar of an obese, pedophile, rapist, con man, terrorist. Jesus Christ.
I am. My job is also...
dissenting.
No. Okay. Are you want to sit here and attack me, or do you want to have conversations about public health? I'm not attacking you. I'm asking questions about how to prevent the next pandemic.
Question and I'll tell you.
That's what I'm trying to do. But I also don't want to use this interview to allow you to say things that aren't entirely true. You're talking about therapeutics, fine. It is also factually true that the COVID vaccine worked. The COVID vaccine prevented deaths. There is data upon data upon data.
That's exactly right. And he doesn't fucking agree with that. The reason why he's not answering the direct question, hey, how do we prevent the next pandemic? You want to know why? Because he fired 1,260 people at the Epidemic Intelligence Service whose job is to prevent the next motherfucking pandemic. That's why. That's why he's dodging and bobbing and weaving and bringing up everything but the answer to the direct question, because he has gotten rid of the infrastructure which was there to prevent the next pandemic. In the same way, he limited access to the COVID vaccine. He put vaccine skeptics on the advisory panel. He fired the CDC director after a month because the CDC director actually understands science and medicine and said, I'm not going along with your bullshit. He ended our support for the global vaccine program. He helped kick millions of people off of Medicaid. He canceled the flu vaccine campaign. The reason why he can't answer this is because he's worked day in and day out to destroy our ability to address the next pandemic, because he's a fucking anti-science crank. He's a jackass who chugs methylene blue because he read about it on some shitty vlog from somebody who doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. He takes testosterone and human growth hormone, even though he's like 70, okay? He's fucking felching with Olivia Nuzzi, drinking his own cum out of some woman's ass as he lectures us about the fucking, red dye in your Kool-Aid. How about shut the fuck up? How about you're in no position to judge any of us, Mr. I chop off raccoon dicks? How about, you can go to shut the fuck upsville forever, Mr. I behead whales and bathe in literal sewage with my fucking, what was it, with his, grandkids or his niece and nephew? He was bathing in sewage water that had a warning sign against going in it with, kids in his family. Okay? I've had enough of a guy who eats roadkill telling me what's correct when it comes to science. Enough. Give it a fucking rest.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So Bill Maher has really jumped the shark and shit the bed. And he's basically having his Dave Rubin moment, his why I left the left moment. And if it was subtle before, if it was little hints here and there before, well, now it's just out there in the open. Now he's all but saying, I'm a Republican. I will vote for Republicans. And you guys know, he went from being a Bernie Sanders supporter in 2016, so a left-wing guy, to supporting Amy Klobuchar in 2020. So he went from a left-wing guy to a center-left guy. Then it became, I'm an enlightened centrist, both sides type guy. Now he's saying, if anything, I lean right. Okay, now, you might say that's an unfair characterization. I think after you see this new rule segment, you will come to the conclusion that is not an unfair characterization. That's a very fair characterization. So here we go. He's talking about DSA here, and man, does he say some wild shit. Let's listen.
And finally, new rule: Donald Trump has told 1 trillion lies, but when he says the Democratic Socialists of America are actually communist, that's not one of them. And it's not hard to prove it, just by quoting the DSA and their candidates. It gives me no pleasure to have to do this. I'd much rather keep going the good vibes from my summer vacation. I had an awesome one, by the way. I totally got a girlfriend at Bible camp.
I just can't help but hear the, I'm Bill Maher. I smoke weed. I have sex, okay? I do drugs. I'm a bad boy. I'm different. I'm naughty. Okay, I get it, dude. What are you, fucking 60, 70 years old? How fucking old are you? You still sound like a person who wants to be popular in high school. Jesus Christ.
However, right before we left, Vice President J.D. Vance was on the show, and I told him that if the Democratic Party keeps going in the direction of the DSA, my vote was in play.
Now, by the way, that's literally strike one, you're out. J.D. Vance said, I would not have certified the 2020 election. I wouldn't have did what Mike Pence did, which is find one shred of integrity and do the right thing and defend U.S. democracy. He said, I would have went full authoritarian fascist and I would have greenlit Trump stealing it. And your vote is in play for that guy. Your vote is in play for that guy. I'm sorry, you're an enemy of democracy at that point. You're not on the team. And so you lose any ability to lecture us who are on the team about what you think is right or wrong. You're with the enemy. That's what you're doing. You're going full motherfucking Fetterman here.
And all I heard all vacation was, oh my God, you're a Republican now. No, that's not what I said.
If you said my vote is potentially in play for J.D. Vance, yes, you lean right. Because you can't vote for J.D. Vance unless you are on the right. You just can't do it. Every self-respecting center-left or liberal person cannot vote for J.D. Vance. He's part of the MAGA regime ushering in fascism. Period. Full stop. You don't get a mulligan on fascism. They're building fucking concentration camps where they're shoving immigrants into. Okay? Look at CCOT. 288 people sent there. No criminal record. They were innocent people, and they got tortured, and they got raped, and horrible things happened to them. Look at what Trump's doing with his illegal wars. Look at the fucking Epstein files. Look at all the shit. And you're going, maybe I'll vote for the guy who was his number 2 in command? Oh, my days.
Said in play. And here's why. Because not a week goes by where I don't read about some newly chosen, exciting new face in the Democratic Party. And then when that face opens its mouth, the Communist Manifesto or some other crazy shit comes out.
Now, let's just pause to point out, he literally has Zoran's face right in the middle there. Okay, he has Zoran there. He has Abdul El Sayed there. What's extreme about Zoran or Abdul? There's absolutely nothing that's extreme about either one of them. Abdul is literally running on, let's stop sending money and weapons to Israel and let's instead fund education and healthcare here. There's absolutely nothing that's far left or extreme about that. Zoran, what has Zoran done? Well, we were told he's so far left, crime's going to skyrocket. Well, it turns out crime went down and it's at a historic low. We were told he wouldn't be able to get anything done. Well, it turns out he cracked down on shitty landlords. He ordered a deep cleaning of the subway. He got Hochul to agree to universal childcare. He froze the rent. He filled a record number of potholes, and he taxed the rich. He's already delivered on multiple campaign promises. Multiple campaign promises. But you still have them up there. What do Abdul El Sayed and Zoran Mamdani have in common? What issue have they put front and center that Bill doesn't agree with them on? You all know the answer. The answer is Israel. Bill Maher is a hardcore Zionist. And now, since the Democratic base is going, we're done with this shit. We're not arming and funding apartheid and terrorism and Zionism and ethno-supremacy. We're not doing that anymore. That's what's leading him to say, I'm done with Democrats. He's going to try to couch it like, oh, it's all these other issues. But that's bullshit. And you want to know how I know it's bullshit? Because Bill Maher backed Bernie Sanders, who supports all these left-wing ideas, these left-wing policies. Bill Maher was an advocate of these left-wing ideas and these left-wing policies. There's a video of Bill Maher from 2013 making fun of Republicans for calling everything socialism and saying that socialism is bad. Like, no, socialism is good was the implication from Bill Maher in 2013. Well, now here he is. All those things are the same, and he's pretending like he's against those. Turns out the real thing is Israel's at the core of it. Okay, Israel's at the core of it. And Bernie is an old white guy, and it's inoffensive to Bill Maher when an old white guy argues for social democratic or democratic socialist programs. But if young people of color argue for it and they're anti-Israel, ooh, icky. Let me run into the loving arms of the fucking pudgy bitch Trump cuck known as J.D. Vance. What a sick man he is.
And let's just read the quotes. The DSA platform says you work as much as you are able and no more than needed. If that was any closer to Karl Marx's dictum from each according to his abilities to each according to his needs, they'd be sued for plagiarism.
Okay, you are literally just doing Republican talking points. I hope you understand that, Bill Maher. There's no other interpretation of this. There's no other way to read this. You are literally just doing Republican talking points. I told my audience 1,000 times over, what's their standard play? Their standard play is go to the DSA policy platform, pick out the things that poll the lowest, and harp away as if that's what every DSA candidate is running on. What they don't do is they don't pick out the fact that, 80% of the stuff in the Democratic Socialist of America policy platform are wildly popular, like taxing the rich, like universal health care, like free college, like child care for all. Like, they purposely go out of their way. Let's pick the things that sound the craziest or that poll the lowest, and let's harp away on that. You are just Fox News, dude. This is just Fox News. But I'm getting it from a so-called liberal. Sorry, this isn't very liberal of you.
Not to leave any doubt, New York Mayor Mamdani once tweeted Karl Marx's words exactly. They're not trying to hide it. Their most popular influencer, Hassan Piker, thinks communism is so groovy. He laments the fall of the two of the most murderous regimes in history, the Soviet Union and Chairman Mao's China. Mandami's aide, his top aide, Sia Weaver, said, if you don't believe in the government's sacred right to seize property, it's over, and impoverish the white middle class. What? That's a goal? You know you're supposed to scare people into voting for you, right?
I can't get over the fact that oligarchy, fascism, kakistocracy, mobocracy have taken over this country, and he's fear-mongering about the left. He's fear-mongering about the solution. By the way, I've told all of you 1,000 times over, there are candidates who are to the left of me. That now there's Daria Lisa, for example, is to the left of me. I'm ecstatic that she got elected. Why do I say that? Because we need to drag the Overton window back to sanity, and that includes electing people to the left of me, okay? You're not going to get Medicare for all. You're not going to get a higher minimum wage unless you pack that fucking place full of not just democratic socialists, but also some people might be fucking communists, okay? Or just socialists, not without the democratic part. I'm sorry, that's the way it works. So the right has gone so far right there off the fucking spectrum, the only way to get us back to sanity is to have the far left get in there and drag everything back. You know who used to know this? Bill Maher. Bill Maher did a New Rule segment years ago, and it's honestly one of my favorite, where he calls for a left-wing Tea Party. Sound familiar? That's literally exactly what's happening now. And what he says is, we're going to call it the Donner Party, and we need to go so extreme in the other direction that it balances everything out, like I'm saying. And he argues, and there's obviously a joke, but it gets to the heart of the matter here. We need to demand that you can get an abortion at the drive-thru at McDonald's. We need to counterbalance the crazy on the right with some crazy on the left, and that's how we fix this country. That was the whole point. That is still my position to this day. It was my position when I saw Bill Maher say it back probably over a decade ago, and it's my motherfucking position today. He's the one that changed. He always, I haven't changed, they've changed. No, bitch, you have changed. You have changed. Because there are candidates to the left of me that are getting elected, and I'm happy they're getting elected, because that's the only chance we have to drive this country back to sanity. And you're doing the, McCarthyism Red Scare. By the way, he's doing Red Scare shit at the same time NSPM7 is in place, and they're actually going after dissent. Has Bill Maher said a fucking word in defense of Ron Yakolich and Breakthrough News when they've been subpoenaed by the Trump regime because they cover Trump's war crimes? Has he said a word about that? Has he said a word about Stephen Miller's fascist speech where he says we're going to lock up people on the left and we're going to call them terrorists? Has he said shit about that? No, he's aiding with the moral panic. Fuck him.
Soon to be Democratic congresspeople, Darlisia Chevalier.
Can't even get her fucking name right, and I'm supposed to take his opinion seriously. Can't even get her fucking name right, and I'm supposed to take him seriously.
He's from landlords and said, seize the means of production. Mandami has said the end goal is seizing the means.
Can't even say Mamdani's name right. He can't even say Mamdani's name. He's so out of touch. The tens of millions or $100 million, whatever he's worth, has rotted his brain.
Means of production. I think they want to seize the means of production. Now, maybe you missed that in...
By the way, Scott Galloway, the guy who's laughing along with Bill Maher here, he positioned himself as sort of like, this truth teller on the left who cuts through all the BS. And now here he is, feeding into the McCarthyism Red Scare. Both of these two are disgusting fucking sellouts. Both of them are disgusting sellouts. They'd rather throw in their lot with MAGA fascists than side with the left-wing Tea Party, which is trying to save this country from itself.
School or missed school altogether, but that's communism. That's communism, which we tried, and it doesn't work. Parties can change sometimes, You have to keep up. Who freed the slaves? Republicans, Lincoln, Democrats were the racist party back then. But then JFK got elected, and it switched. The DSA itself has switched, even 5 years ago. It shunned communists. That changed. Things change. Now the coalition within the DSA, called the Marxist Unity Group, is in ascendance, and I must take them at their word when their words include, our commitment is to the long-term struggle for a fully liberated, classless society.
Oh, the horror! We need extreme income and wealth inequality, and we need trillionaires and billionaires to control us and make us little slave peasants.
In a word, communism. What do they have to do? Tweet out, elect more communists? Oh yeah, Sia Weaver did that. Yes. Good, I'm glad you're shocked. People gotta realize this is going on. Yes, my vote is in play. I'm not voting for anyone who thinks the wrong side won the Cold War or cheers for the Intifada like it's the World Cup. It's so ironic from the people who obsess about colonization. You know what's being colonized now? The Democratic Party.
Good. Actually, you know what it is? It's not colonization. It's a return to what it used to be. It's a return to the glory days of the New Deal. And he's too fucking stupid to see it, and he's too bigoted to see it. Because since there are young people of color now rising up, he doesn't like that. It feels icky. Meanwhile, what are they actually fucking running on instead of these cherry-picked, out-of-context bullshit thing he's hitting them over? They're running on Medicare for all. They're running on raising the minimum wage to a living wage. They're running on taxing the rich and standing up to the Epstein class. They're running on universal child care. They're running on ending the illegal wars of aggression and stop funding Israel. But, oh, that's right. You don't want to stop funding Israel. That's really what you're against, isn't it? That's really what you're against. See, even his audience now is just right-wing, right? Like, it used to be a disappointed liberal audience that would, sort of, every time he says some shit. Now they're clapping. They're actual fucking... Well, you know what? To be fair, I went to a Bill Maher taping because Crystal was on the show, and they have the applause thing that pops up, and they have a person that goes out there that, you're going to laugh big, right? When Bill Maher tells a joke, right? So it's all fucking astroturfed. There probably are people in the audience going, what the fuck is he doing?
Last month, 2 Democratic congressmen released an open pledge they wanted their fellow Democratic members to sign. It said, "We are capitalist, not socialist. We want safety, not lawlessness. We are proud, not ashamed of America." These should not be hard words for a congressional Democrat to sign on to.
Brother, you are doubling down and tripling down on fucking neoliberalism. Brother, you are doubling down and tripling down on the exact ideology and philosophy that has perpetually lost to Donald J. Trump. You are begging to be perpetual losers from now until the end of time and to ride a dead ideology into the sunset, even though it's the ideology responsible for hollowing out this fucking country and making everybody poor and miserable.
You know how many did? 8. 8 out of...
Yeah, and all of them need to be motherfucking primaried. By the way, Josh Gottheimer, who's on this list, and the black guy whose name I'm blanking on now, these were the 2 who are supporting the illegal war against Iran and who are insane hardcore Zionists who are funded by AIPAC. Virtually everybody on this list, if not all of them, are funded by AIPAC. Again, that's what this is really about, and Bill Maher's trying to pretend like it's about other things. It's not.
212. Guys, really, there's got to be an easier way to lose the swing states.
Oh, now he's doing the electability concern trolling thing. If you actually gave a shit about electability, these would be the first Democrats you throw under the bus, because they're representing the Bill Clinton philosophy from 1992 of neoliberalism, of the DLC, the Democratic Leadership Council, and this is what has failed. This is what led Hillary to lose to Trump, and this is the remnants of this ideology is what led Kamala to lose to Trump. So please spare me with this. If you actually have electability concerns, look at a fucking poll. Who's the better candidate? Abdul El Sayed or Haley Stevens? Please spare me, Bill. You're in over your head, buddy. It's grandpa's bedtime, bro. Go eat some oatmeal and get tucked in. This is rough. This is hard to watch.
No, this nonsense is not where most Democratic politicians are right now, but it's also becoming a raging fire festival in the party that neither is anyone putting out. People are actually getting elected now who literally don't think we should have police or prisons or borders.
See, this is exactly the thing I'm talking about, bro. They ignore the fact that every Democratic Socialist or Democratic Socialist aligned candidate who's getting elected is running on universal health care and raising taxes on the rich and expanding social safety net programs, and he's pretending like they're running on fully abolishing prisons. They're just not. I'm sorry. Even the ones who believe in that, like Daria Liza, that's not actually what she fucking ran on. And so this is dishonest. You're just doing Fox News talking points, dog. That's it. That's all you're doing.
And again, they're not lying about who they are. The media is. Ask Ms. Chevalier about...
Oh, yeah, the media loves Democratic Socialist candidates. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh, my days.
The border. She says, yes, literally abolish the border. You know, if you call a woman a whore and everyone gasps, and then the woman says, oh, no, he's right, I'm literally a prostitute.
It's very funny that as we have concentration camps being built where they shove immigrants into, and you have ICE shooting 84-year-olds in the face and shooting priests with pepper balls in the face, and ICE tear-gassing babies and running over people with cars and raiding apartment buildings with U.S. citizens and taking naked kids and handcuffing them and putting them in the back of U-Haul vans. It's good to know that as 288 people are sent to CCOT and they're tortured and they're raped and Trump is shoving people into concentration camps, it's good to know that as we're witnessing a hardcore anti-immigrant fascist backlash, that in the midst of that backlash, our so-called liberals, like Bill Maher, are going to fearmonger over the people who say, you know what, actually, immigration is a good thing and immigrants are good people. Good to know you're taking that liberal response, that liberal reaction to what's going on here. You know, you would think if you're on the team, with an elected Democrat saying that, what you would do is go out and clarify for people. Hey, here's what that means. Hey, here's what she's actually saying. What she's saying is immigrants are good people. Immigrants make this country better off. Immigrants make us wealthier. They enrich our culture. This country has had a track record of being welcoming to immigrants, and that's always led to a more perfect union when we do that. You would think that's what you would say. Not, let me feed into the right-wing fear-mongering over shit like this. I'm so fucking done with Bill, bro. I don't know how much more of this I could listen to. But man, there's one quote he has towards the end, which is just going to make you want to fucking shit. How should I phrase this one? I already did the pineapple in my urethra. I did the other day. So this might make you want to shove a pineapple up your urethra. It might make you want to put your nuts in a waffle iron. I think it'll probably make you want to grab a 7-iron and smack yourself across the head with it until you're gushing blood from your temple. Something along those lines is what it's going to make you want to do, the quote he has in a little bit.
Believer. This crowd literally wants to get rid of our form of government, the Senate, but also, and I quote, replace the president and Supreme Court with an executive and judiciary chosen by and subordinate to Congress. Yeah, no biggie. Just taking the very essence of our government, which is 3 branches checking each other and shit-canning 2.5 of them.
Oh, and who's in the midst of doing that right now, Bill? Oh, my word. I'm about to lose it, bro. Trump is literally governing by executive order. He's blowing off court orders left and right. He's destroyed separation of powers. He's destroyed rule of law. And Bill Maher is fear-mongering about a theoretical DSA takeover where they might reform the system to give the legislative branch more power and to take some power away from the courts and from the president. Oh, heaven forfend! Where's my fainting couch? Let me clutch my pearls. Are you kidding me? As Trump is destroying this country, this is your fucking reaction? And by the way, it is a more small d democratic thing to do to get rid of the Senate. I hope you know that. The Senate is the most undemocratic institution we have. How can you have 2 senators from Wyoming that has a population of like 17 people, but also only 2 senators from California, which has a population of 78 quadrillion? How does that make sense? It doesn't. It doesn't. It's a fucking remnant from a bygone primitive age is what it is. And we shouldn't have the motherfucking Senate. We shouldn't have it. That's where good legislation goes to die, bro. That's what, and the Supreme Court, don't even get me started on the Supreme Court. At the very least, we got to expand that bitch. Because right now they are judicial supremacists and judicial extremists, and they will kill any positive thing that our government does in our name. So I can't, again, this is just right-wing shit.
Who could be this nuts? I'll tell you who. Morons who are still wearing COVID masks in 2026. This photo is from the DSA meeting in Denver 3 weeks ago.
That's nice, Bill. Do you have any comment on the fact that in the Democratic Socialists of America platform is raising taxes on the rich and like 80% of people support it? How about raise the minimum wage, which like 80% of people support? Or how about universal child care, which like 65, 70% of people support? Or how about, ending the wars, which like 70% of people support? It's really nice to know when fascism's taken over this country and these people come to save the day, you're going to nitpick them as opposed to going after the fascists and highlighting the areas DSA has that are good ideas that you agree with, that are liberal ideas. I mean, this guy's such a failure.
Okay, I'm just going to say it. Since the far left, the far, far left, is overwhelmingly made up of affluent, ultra-woke white people, you raised your kids wrong.
All right, now he goes back to another fucking well he loves to pull from. Right? You gotta be an asshole to kids. You gotta be an authoritarian. I've never had kids and don't give a shit about them, but I'm gonna tell you how to raise your kids. You don't know anything. And also, it's fucking cope, this idea. They're all wealthy, affluent white people. Bullshit. Nonsense. They said that same shit about fucking Darya Lisa, then the demographic numbers came in and it wasn't that. Okay? Stop with the bullshit. This is not true. Like, this is, I'm sorry, it's a multi-generational, multicultural, it's across religious lines and ethnic lines, and even in some cases, ideological lines. Like, this is the solution taking over the country, and he's trying to block it every step of the way and smear it as, oh, it's just very white and affluent. Fucking spare me. Yeah, because you know who loves to be democratic socialists? Billionaires. They love that. Or multimillionaires love being democratic socialists. Are you fucking kidding me? That's statistically the smallest percentage. Those are the people who hate democratic socialism because it means we're going to raise their motherfucking taxes.
You told your precious brats that every brain fart was genius, and now those brain farts are becoming Democratic Party policy.
all your precious brats, your writers, told you that your brain farts are brilliant, and it came together in this fucking monologue, which is the worst thing I've ever seen.
Francesca Hong, yet another major Democratic candidate who's all in on abolishing the police and is running for governor of Wisconsin, says, I think that my perfect world would be a world without prisons because we all see the humanity in one another and then we know nobody's disposable. Well, murder victims are. I mean, if you heard this kind of nonsense coming out of the mouth of a teenage beauty queen, it would be an eye roll. No wonder that the most true blue Democrat ever, James Carville, says, there's just some shit I can't be in the same tent with.
Yeah, maybe because he's 81 years old and completely and utterly out of touch. But also, he's a hypocrite just like you, Bill Maher, because you like it when Bernie stands for these democratic socialist policies, but when young people of color do, all of a sudden it's icky, all of a sudden it's gross, all of a sudden you try to highlight the areas you disagree with and you do Fox News' work for them. But I'm waiting for it. There's one more quote y'all have to hear. You're going to lose it when you hear this quote.
Yeah, Carville said, I'm done. I'm not in that fucking political party.
Good riddance, bitch. Good riddance.
But Newsom disagrees. He says he's good with it because the party is a big tent. Well, you know what else you find in a tent? Clowns.
Yeah, to be fair, the clowns were actually you and Carville. So now that you're getting out, we don't have the clowns anymore.
It's so funny. So many liberals shit themselves every time Trump puts gold on something in the Oval Office. Oh, it's historic.
Yeah, the reason why liberals and leftists don't like it and they're shitting themselves over it is because this man is tacky and gaudy and a wannabe dictator, and this is like dictator type shit. I mean, it's obvious, right? In the same way he wants to slap his name on the fucking Kennedy Center, the same way he wants his name on a Florida airport as he got it, the same way he wants the fucking Epstein Memorial Ballroom, the same way he wants the Arc de Trump. There's something important to discuss there. This will to power, this instinct for domination, this instinct for forcing, a reputation on us that he hopes lives beyond him. Like, to act like, oh no, I support the gold because I'm contrarian. Okay, well then you're just a contrarian little bitch and you believe in nothing.
And the separation of powers isn't?
Yes, and Trump has destroyed that. It's not DSA that destroyed that. And can we stop pretending like the ideas that poll low in the DSA platform, like we're ever actually gonna get that? Are we ever actually gonna get motherfucking prisons abolished? It's not gonna fucking happen. Why are you fear-mongering over it? Why are you fear-mongering over it? Because you're actually trying to block people who want to stand up to Israel and stop funding their genocide. That's why you're doing it. God fucking damn it, man. I hate this. Wait for it. He's about to hit you with it.
Get your head out of your ass. I would vote for Sarah Palin before this shit.
Bro said he would vote for Sarah Palin before this. I rest my motherfucking case. You're not a liberal. You're not a leftist. You're not a Democrat. At this point, you're on the right. Period. That's it. This is your Dave Rubin moment, bro. I mean, you arguably had it the other week when you said, that you would potentially vote for J.D. Vance or my vote is in play, but this really solidifies it. You would vote for Sarah Palin over AOC or Zoran Mamdani or Abdul El Sayed. You would vote for Sarah Palin, who's arguably the original Trump, along with George W. Bush. Trump before Trump. You would potentially vote for J.D. Vance, who said he wouldn't certify the 2020 election. I'm sorry, Bill Maher, you are just the enemy. And it's not our fault, it's your own fault. You would be better served by taking your own advice from over a decade ago in the New Rules monologue you did, where you said the Democratic Party needs a left-wing Tea Party, and we can call it the Donner Party, and we need crazies on the left to help balance out the crazies on the right to get us back to sanity. And instead of listening to your own solid advice, you've now gone full, man, get off my lawn, old man, and ruined any fucking respect that any of us ever had from you. What a sick joke. What a pathetic loser. Tune this guy out, bro. Turn him off. He doesn't deserve anybody's support, anybody's adoration. He is now just a crotchety old Fox News style conservative. And if you're being honest with yourself, you would admit that too.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So Alex Jones finally completed his latest transformation and has now come full circle, and he's officially calling to remove Trump. Okay, so let me play this clip for you here. By the way, I love how Alex's son is now filling in for him and literally like looking exactly like him at the same time. It's kind of bizarre, but let's listen to what he has to say and then we'll break it down.
The big issue is how to stop Trump. And we have to have Congress go for the war powers. They've 3 times tried to vote war powers. They're supposed to authorize a war. This is a war. They're getting the draft ready. If this isn't a war, nothing's a war.
Okay, by the way, let me just pause to point out, how many times have I told you that when these people finally start telling you the truth, who do they sound like? They sound like us, except years too late. So when I was saying shit like this, years before them, they were coming after us. They were saying we have Trump derangement syndrome, we're crazy, that he's America first, he's anti-war, he's anti-corruption. Now that he's been in there for 2 years and he has destroyed everything, now all of a sudden they sound like us just 2 years too late. So my question for you is, if you're an Alex fan, why would you listen to him when you could just listen to me? Because what I'm saying today is the shit he'll be saying in 4 years, 5 years, 6 years from now, after he realizes yet again that I was right. So let's play it from the beginning again, and you'll see. Again, he's like, we got to remove Trump. Who does that sound like?
The big issue is how to stop Trump. And we have to have Congress go for the war powers. They've 3 times tried to vote war powers. They're supposed to authorize a war. This is a war. They're getting the draft ready. If this isn't a war, nothing's a war. I mean, this is absolutely out of control. And so I'm calling for it right now. 25th Amendment, impeachment, whatever needs to happen to get this front and center, to get control of our country. It's impeachable alone that the president supporting the NDAA. I agree with Tucker Carlson and all of the people that voted for this, the mergers with the foreign military. It actually says it in Section 219, clear as day. Need to be in Nuremberg-style trials. I mean, this is unbelievable. And if you think it's crazy now, imagine what's coming with this. They want us in a total war so they can censor and take our freedoms and nationalize everything and push us aside with AI, total liability.
Who does he sound like? They're going to take all of our freedoms. That's the only area where he's wrong. Alex, they already did. They already took all of our freedoms, and you cheered it on. You were cheering it on when they were going after Mahmoud Khalil and Rumeisa Ozturk, rounding up innocent people, fucking locking them up, deporting people for making jokes about Charlie Kirk. That actually happened. Cheering on Trump as he was suing media companies and trying to bankrupt them, trying to revoke licenses from media companies, going after Code Pink activists for calling him a war criminal to his face. You were on his side at the time. Now all of a sudden, it's the opposite. Now you're admitting, oh, they're coming after our rights. AI's coming to take our jobs. And you fucking meat ride Elon Musk. To this day, you still meat ride Elon Musk. What is wrong with you? You support the guy who's creating the technology to help take everybody's job. And you act like he's not a con artist, and he's not a scammer, and he's not in with Trump and MAGA. And he's not fucking stealing $38 billion from U.S. taxpayers to make 12 fucking rockets explode as he rants against parasites who take a little bit of money from the government to feed their kids.
The mergers with the foreign military, it actually says it in Section 219, clear as day. Need to be in Nuremberg-style trials. I mean, this is unbelievable. And if you think it's crazy now, imagine what's coming with this. They want us in a total war so they can censor and take our freedoms and nationalize everything and push us aside with AI, total liability, immunity and protection. This is a disaster. We are facing tyranny, but the public's awakening. We've got to come together and transcend left and right. And we have to say no to an expanded war that will definitely destroy the economy, kill a bunch of our troops. They're preparing a massive ground invasion. It's all confirmed. This is going down right now. Rex, what do you think we should do to spotlight this? I'll tell listeners, we're live right now. Share a live feed. We're going to cut all this up. Breaking. Alex Jones calls for impeachment of President Trump for attempt to implement the national draft and launch total ground invasion of Iran. Americans left and right must come together now and demand Congress invoke the war powers and end this war now. The Senate must vote down the NDAA that's already passed the House. We have our action plan. Rex Jones, what do you say?
So he said impeachment or 25th Amendment, we got to get rid of this guy. That's what I've been saying for a super long time. And now he's saying it when it is too late. The damage is already done. If only he listened when he was warned, when he was riding the fucking Trump train in 2024. But he didn't do that. He didn't listen. And a good question for these guys is to ask them, would Kamala Harris have been better? Because they're still going to whine and cry and bitch and moan and squirm and obfuscate and deflect. But the fact of the matter is they can't bring themselves to admit it. But you and I both know that shit is true as hell. You and I both know that shit is true as hell. And they're going to, well, I don't know about that. I mean, Kamala, she was horrible and she would have probably been doing the bidding of the deep state and she would have probably done the war and done this and done that. Nonsense. There's both sides of the same shit. That's got to end too. That's got to end too. But that's insane. What he's saying here is impeach, remove. He's brought up, oh, they got to get him with the NDAA. Well, Alex, I got bad news for you. I believe they already passed it 3 times, the NDAA, basically rebuking Trump's illegal war against Iran. And what is Trump doing about that? Fucking nothing. He's letting them declare his war illegal and then still not doing anything, not pulling out immediately, even though he should. He's required by law to pull out immediately. Yet another thing that's impeachable, that's criminal, that should lead to him being locked up. But isn't it crazy? So he meat rides the fascist in chief, and then now he's basically begging Democrats to save the day. Because I got news for you, it ain't going to be the fucking Republicans. He brought up the provision, Section 219, that merges the U.S. military with the Israeli military. Guess who voted against that, and guess who voted for that? I'll wait. Every Republican except one, Thomas Massie, voted in favor of merging the U.S. and Israeli military. Every Democrat except, I think it's like 6 or something like that, voted against it. So tell me again now, the Democrats are the problem and they're trying to trans the kids and they're evil and they're bad and they're terrible. But Democrats, please save me. You need to save me. Trump is so bad. Republicans are so bad. And he's waging illegal war after illegal war and self-dealing and being corrupt. So I need the Democrats to save me, even though I hate the Democrats and they're transing the kids and they're terrible. Jesus fucking Christ. By the way, right-wing media has plummeted. It has collapsed. The relevance of right-wing media has basically imploded to next to nothing. Okay? And the reason why is when your figurehead, when your leader, Donald Trump, fails on every front imaginable. When he says he's anti-war, then he starts 8 new wars. When he says he's anti-establishment and anti-corruption, then he's the most corrupt president by far, and it's not even close. When gas prices rise, even though he says he's going to cut them. When grocery prices rise, even though he says he's going to cut them. When he fails in every imaginable way, well, then you're going to fail too, because all you guys do is cheerlead for him. And so now, looking at Alex Jones react like this, it's an attempt to save his ass. That's all this is. It's a desperate attempt to pivot with the times and keep up with the audience, knowing he's not going to be relevant if he continues to sing the tune he's been singing all along. Do you understand that? And so Alex Jones doing this is a direct reaction to this fact. Look at this. New York Times, the MAGA media machine is fracturing. Once united in support of President Trump, right-wing influencers are embroiled in feuds and losing viewers, creating a problem for Republicans in midterm elections. And as you can see here, YouTube views collapsed from 100 million down to 50 million. This is a select few number for 12 right-wing influencers. 100 million YouTube views down to less than 50 million, actually. Views on X, which are inflated anyway, like this is a lie number, but it was at 800 million allegedly, and now it's down to a little more than 100 million. Rumble views, it was at 40 million. That number's also inflated. It's not 40 million. It's less than that. But it was a peak of 40 million. Now it's down to a little above 10 million. Podcast listens, that's the only one that stayed relatively stable. It was a high of maybe 20 million, now down to about 10 million. But it also wasn't that long ago. It was at 10 million before, too. So, but what's happening here is the right-wing media ecosystem is collapsing. It's imploding. They don't have a consistent message anymore. They don't have a consistent person to rally behind anymore. And so now they're all struggling for an identity. And you have the dead enders like Ben Shapiro who are going to ride Trump into the fucking ground and stay in the Titanic after it hit the iceberg. And the reason why he's doing that is because Trump is Israel's bitch and doing Israel's bidding. And so as long as Trump is doing that, he's always going to defend Trump. So you have the dead enders like the Daily Wire and like Ben Shapiro. Then you have others having like an identity crisis, like say Steven Crowder. But then you have others who are trying to be like anti-Trump but still somehow conservative, like Candace Owens, who's also conspiratorial, and Tucker Carlson. Then you have like, the Nick Fuentes types who have just gone full white nationalist. And they're lost. These people are all lost. There's no consistent message. And so now, look, I'm going to reiterate it again because it's the most important point. Why would anybody listen to these people when over time, when the truth finally comes out, they just sound like us from 2 years ago or 5 years ago or 12 years ago? Why should anybody listen to these people when eventually, when they finally catch up to the times, they're still, they're years and years behind us who were telling you the truth from the very fucking beginning and have been proven right about everything? I don't know, man. Y'all will have to answer that question. But I know what I would do, and that's not listen to these charlatans and these liars and these con men and these grifters who are just desperately trying to keep their audience. That's why the pivot's coming. They realize everybody's turned against Trump, and so since he has a 30% approval rating, well, what the fuck are we going to do in order to stay relevant? We have no choice but to sort of break up with Trump and try to pave a different path. And the path that many of them are going with is, we're still conservative and we still hate immigrants and trans people, but also we're kind of anti-war. War's bad, I guess, and, other stuff and things. That's what they're going with. But again, you can get the full truth. Just listen to us. And there you have it. All right, y'all. That's the show, man. Love y'all. As always, you know the drill. Everybody do me a big favor and subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon so you get a notification every time a video drops. Support the show on Patreon. That link is below. Thank you guys who do support, because this is real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser, never done an ad read, never will. You guys have made that possible, so shout out to you. You can also sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack, link below. And, of course, go sub to Corin's World and come hang out with us live on Monday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, y'all. Love you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.